I don't want to have a wine that is just for the experts. I think it's very good in Wachau that we have a lot of feedback also from really regular customers who just pass by the bicycle, and maybe if they look at our price list they are scared. But still, for me, the aim is that they just say, okay, the only problem I have, it's too expensive.
Yeah.
Then everything is good. You can feel the difference between a Steinfeder, Federspitz and Smaragd easily. And that's something I think is very powerful in a world of so many different styles of wines.
Do you have these issues with Riesling or Grüner, or one grape more than other, or no? Probably Neuburger is the difficult one.
Neuburger is really difficult. He's or she, maybe somebody is able at certain point to live from Neuburger, but that's chapeau if you are able to. Yeah, Neuburger is a diva, but or he is a diva.
Yeah. What? Hi everybody, this is Agnese from No Sediment, and welcome to No Sediment Wine Podcast. Today I am not afraid to say, in one of the most beautiful winemaking regions in the world, Wachau, Austria, and my guest is Mathias Hirtzberger, owner and basically everyone of the Weinhofmeisterei Mathias Hirtzberger. Did I say it correctly?
Yeah. Hello.
Hi.
Hello everybody.
How are you?
Thanks, very good. Thanks for coming. Thanks for visiting us.
Thank you for hosting us.
Owner, yes. We're running together the winery, my wife and me, plus a team of 5 people. Mm-hmm. And so it's we have one son, but there is some time to wait until he's also in the winery, because he's 6 years old.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So could you please tell us a bit more about yourself and your journey in the wine altogether? I know the history is long, but maybe
in a short way. Yeah. So hello, Mathias Hirtzberger. I'm from the family Franz Hirtzberger. So my brother Franz is a winemaker in Spitz. The winery is there already since centuries, or more than 100 years already. And my elder brother, he took it over already. And in 2012 and 13, I changed a bit my way, my CV, because my CV before was like I did some wine school, mm-hmm. but then I did a business school, a business university in Vienna, and then I was at the consultancy and at the bank. But then I saw, within some time, that I took maybe a wrong direction at some point. And I went back to the winery, I went back to France, and we had a very nice time together. And I was able to work also in the vineyards and also in the cellar. So my brother showed me a lot at this time. And at a certain point there occurred a possibility to get vineyards in the next village, which is Wösendorf, where we are now. Wösendorf is 4 kilometers down the Danube. Mm-hmm. And here there was a family where there was nobody who went on with the winery. And our father always said we need to take that, because 5 hectares and as a complete winery. And Jan, my brother, was like, I don't see it so much, he said, so more or less. And but for me and also for my wife, we haven't been married at this time, but we already saw that there is maybe a bit of a possibility. And some month later, there was the possibility to also get a house in Wösendorf, the Weinhofmeisterei, or the Hofmeisterei, the restaurant. And suddenly the idea was getting more and more real to start our own winery. So we had vineyards, this house, and everything else went very quick and very nicely. And so we are now here. We're running a winery with about 12 hectares of vineyards, which are only here in Wösendorf and Joching, and
So nowhere else around. You're just here in this village.
Yeah,
okay.
Very, very compact together. It's the single vineyards are really very next to each other.
Yeah, yeah.
That's very nice because I think our characteristics of our wines are very much based on this very narrow segment of Wachau.
Okay. So you say that you had this possibility to purchase the land, the vineyards here, but did you had the idea that you want to separate from your family, or it was just that the great option presented itself and you said yes, or did you had it in your mind that you want to have something on your own?
It really it pops up. Okay. It was like we are really I think a very perfect family. Really, I'm so glad to be part of such a family because we are we're best friends, and it popped up, and it was not like I was before. I have to get something else and do something else. It was like it occurred, and together we were able to get.
That's good.
To get to this next stage somehow, yeah.
Because when you travel to the neighboring country, Italy, there's usually like drama, fights, I'm leaving and having my own estate. Like all of the, I think, separations are only because of that. So it's good to hear that there is all good and everybody's happy.
It's maybe because we are between Italy and Germany. And the Germans, they are more organized, and maybe this is a part of our history or characteristics of the Austrians that we are a bit more organized.
Yeah.
Because there is, of course, also some drama here, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, I just wanted to tell you one story. I think I've told you this before, but I also want the viewers to know. So the very first time we, like myself and my family, we were introduced to Franz Hirtzberger was when we visited Palais Coburg. And so the sommelier offered us Franz Hirtzberger, and it was a bit out of our price range, and we said no. We took null. And then after that bottle, we got a bit jolly, and then we said, okay, it's good. We will take that bottle, Franz Hirtzberger, you suggested. It was Riesling Zingeridel 1992. And we fell in love with that wine. And then we rearranged our all trip to come and visit. And then when we visited, there was no one there. But all of a sudden you came from the vineyards and you gave us to try the wines. We bought some wines. You didn't sell us enough Zingeridel. You said it was on allocation. So, and then you mentioned that you're having probably a new project. Mm. Yeah, and this is what we remember. And we said to each other that the next time we're going to visit Wachau, we're coming to visit you because we had this really nice memory.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, some years passed now.
Yeah, and, definitely.
At this time, I think I'm quite sure I didn't think that it's that big already, or that it's going
for
to
us
be
it's really big.
Quick. But yeah, I really need to say thanks to my family and to our whole thing which we are doing, because there are a lot of families. You said there is a lot of drama in some wineries. Yeah. And families, and we didn't have that at all. And
that's good.
That's a cool thing.
Okay, so now you're on your own. So what were the biggest challenges you encountered?
What was very nice for me is that I didn't have the pressure to produce a wine which fits into some footsteps. Mm-hmm. And of course, I had the big advantage that people were trying our wine. That's, of course, a big advantage. But yeah, within the last years, I think it was not a challenge, but it was a great opportunity to find our own way of how we want to have the wine, how we see our Rüsendorf wine, how we see this interpretation. And for me, it was a very not too slow, but it was a path within the last years. And of course, it's a challenge to find somehow a character of wine which you like, of course, and which is which works here in this village. And of course, it's a challenge. Enterprise wisely or wise. Sorry, of course, to find people, to get such a good team which we have at the moment. Yeah, but this is, I would say, the classic challenge.
Everyone faces that.
Yeah.
That's true. Okay, so and when it comes to viticulture and winemaking, so what were the things that you took from the winery of Franz Hirtzberger, and what are the things that you made your own, or you together with your family, your wife, and what you decided to do differently?
I think we had some phases, I would say. Okay. So the first phase was like, wow, I can make wine, and it tastes, and it works, and the vineyards are good, and I think by time, after 2, 3, 4 vintages, I saw that we need that Wösendorf and the soils which we have here and its microclimate is warmer than Spitz. Of course, everybody knows because we are a bit more on the eastern side. But yeah, you have to recognize it on your own. You have to find that out. And I think we were able to get our own characteristic, which is a bit leaner, which is a bit fresher. And this was something which, was very important to find that out and to love what you want to do. And it's not like the market needs now more fresh wines or needs more, I don't know, trendy wine. And I think that was very good to find it out on your own without having the pressure.
And so you said your wine is a bit leaner and fresher, you would say, as opposed to the style of Franz Hirtzberger, or yeah? Yeah,
that's where I learned it in the end, where I learned winemaking. And I like this very handcrafted winemaking, because in Spitz, it was always, our parents always aimed to getting the highest ripeness into the bottle, to getting a very intense wine into the cellar. And I think that's something, of course, which I learned a lot, and that's where I come from. And finding out or defining a way which does not say, I'm not doing this, I'm really going for the other direction. That's what I didn't want to, because I like the wines from Franz. But still becoming a bit more authentic in our winery. And I think that were some vintages where I learned more and more how to get a lean and fresh way, but not missing its body and the Wachau juiciness. For me, the Wachau wines have some certain juiciness, and they are open. In my interpretation, the Wachau wines are not wines which you have to wait for centuries that they are getting open. Wachau wines are, in my opinion, they are good from the first year on, and hopefully also for decades. But and finding defining a way from where you can make your own wine without losing the typical characteristics is somehow, I think, the biggest challenge. And of course, we are facing climate change. That's also a very it's not easy for us. It's not getting easier because it's very hot in summer, and Wachau wine was always characterized by a very late harvest. But I also had to find out harvesting early you won't get these characteristics, which we have in a typical Wachau wine. Harvesting earlier, yes, but not very early. Okay. And that's always the thing in which we are between the problematics, so to say. Finding some good spots, how to harvest, when to harvest. That's maybe that was crucial for our winery, to get ripe wines, but not overripe.
Not too ripe.
Not too ripe. And also finding out which vineyard needs which things, which care.
Okay.
That's for sure one of the biggest learnings within the last years.
So you are warmer here than in Spitz? Or Spitz?
Spitz, yeah. Okay.
And so you naturally harvest a bit earlier, but what is the average alcohol? When you harvest, do you allow introduction of the Botrytis in your wines? I would guess no.
Allowing...
Just judging by your style and felt it at least.
I think the first years we had it more.
Okay.
But within the last years we also started to work not organic but nearly organic. So the structure of the berries, of the grapes changes, and botrytis doesn't occur. Not easily. Sometimes it occurs. Okay. Then I don't throw it away because I'm a son of our parents. So
yes.
But usually it doesn't occur.
Okay.
And it gets leaner because of that. But I think too that in warm years, in warm vintages, you get some of these honey things which Wachau wines tend to have sometimes. Yeah. You also get that where you sometimes think that botrytis is in without having botrytis in.
Okay,
because it's just this overripeness of a very golden, shiny grape.
Yeah.
Of the Grüner especially, they sometimes, in my opinion, you sometimes feel something like a botrytis, although it was not in. Yeah.
Okay. Do you attribute the fact that you don't have botrytis or not as much anymore to the way you work in the vineyards, or is it more because you're maybe a bit further from the river, or I'm just guessing?
Yeah, it's, in my opinion, it's really from the work in the vineyard. Okay. So, of course, or we're not organic, I need to say. Yeah. Because we use one fungicide, which is not allowed anymore. It was until 2013, but it's not allowed anymore in organic spraying. But we use, of course, copper and sulfur.
That's allowed.
And that's allowed. And in my opinion, this leads to thicker skins, and the botrytis doesn't occur. Okay. Therefore, of course, in a very cool vintage, very cool and humid vintage, it will occur. I'm quite sure, because we have the Danube here, and the Danube, and it's fog, especially in October. Yeah, there are good preconditions of getting botrytis here. But I think it's based on the work in the vineyard that the botrytis doesn't occur that much.
Okay. In the vineyards, you have only or mostly Grüner Veltliner and Riesling. Do you work with any other grapes?
There is a bit of a Pinot Blanc and a bit of Muscatella. Okay. It's very small. Pinot Blanc is not yet released.
I haven't seen
but
it.
maybe next year.
Okay.
Maybe with the vintage.
Are those new plantings?
25. No, our old wines.
Oh.
I started last year to have a very small barrel done, but in the end it was very small, and it was just to try how it works. Yeah. And maybe next year we will produce a Pinot Blanc. Okay. And Muscatella we had already as a Federspiel, easy drinking wine. But that's, in the end, it's for the whole winery. It's not a big topic, but especially for the tastings here, it's nice to have.
Okay. So coming from Spitz, do you maybe think about Neuburger or? If I'm not mistaken, I think this is where it's most located. No.
Neuburger is truly a lot in Spitz, and the first vineyards which we were able to get from the family in 2000s, we started 14, but one or two vineyards we were able to get already in 13. One we had to replant and to do a lot of pre-construction, so to say. Yeah. And the other one was a Neuburger. So of course it was my first experience. That was like, we will fix this thing with Neuburger now, and we will try to get it really in a very perfect way. But Neuburger has so many difficulties. So
it's a difficult grape.
It's a very difficult variety, and so honestly speaking, maybe there will be some Pinot Blanc. Okay. Of course, Chardonnay is interesting. I think. It's not like that. I will get rid of Grüner Veltliner or Riesling.
Riesling and Grüner stays.
Okay. And we tried to get more Riesling within the last years, and that's the way we see maybe the midterm, or the next 10 years, and maybe some ideas will occur. But
red wine, Zweigelt.
Zweigels. Yeah, there are already so many good Zweigels in Austria.
Okay.
So.
Okay, I also want to ask you about your specific vineyards. So maybe you want to share what is unique about your vineyards. They're located just around the winery, I guess. And what makes your wine so unique because of them. And also, could you maybe clear the confusion? There's Kolmutz and Kolmitz.
Oh, that's a very good. Yeah, that's a big confusion. So we have those 12 hectares, and they are really in the back of our winery, more or less. Of course, there is some in the flat. Mm-hmm. Some are next to the Danube. So this is in the flat from these vineyards. We put those grapes into our village wines, and on the hillside, we are more or less focused on four Crus Ried. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the one is Kolmutz with the Ü, which is the umlaut Ü. It's not easy.
Yeah.
The Kolmutz, which is in the back of Wösendorf, and then we have Kolmitz in the back of Joching.
Okay.
So there is a small bridge how to differentiate between Kolmutz has a Ü and Wösendorf in front of it has a Ö.
Yeah.
So it's the vineyard with its strange Ü and Ö. And then on Joching, in the back of Joching, there is the Kolmitz. And in between there's Geisberg, where we have also some vineyards. And in the back of Kolmitz, there is Postalla and Jochinger Berg, where we have also a lot of vineyards. So this is really very focused and very nice and very cool to work with. Yeah, and in terms of characteristics, the nice thing, I think, for general Wachau, one has to say that we have a lot of differences in vineyards, although the distances are really very narrow. Because here in the flat, we're next to the Danube. There is a lot of the gravel. Okay. So in the flat there is a lot of gravel and there is about 3 to 5 meters of a very powerful soil on it, which works very well for Grüners, and they are growing very well here, but makes a quite different wine compared to those which are on the hillside, where we have really the very sandy soils. I need to say there are also in the flat we have some spots where there is sandy soil because of those side valleys, where a creek or whatever brought the sand out of from the hills down. So there are some spots which are quite different again, but in the basis here we are in very powerful structures where Grüner works very well. And then we have the hillsides where they have the terraces, and on these terraces again there is one big differentiation, I would say. A lot of those east side directed vineyards, so they are facing towards Krems down the Danube. Especially here in the Weißenkirchen area, so Wösendorf is part of Weißenkirchen. Especially here, we have a lot of east side directed vineyards where there is a lot of löss. So this löss soil, it was blown here around 10,000 years ago, and this löss is a very powerful soil again, but it's not like here in the flat because it's based on sand, so it's based on stone, but it's so thin, so small. Those stones, that it's already powerful. It's very structured, and you often see also these löss walls, which are partly 5 or 3 or 4 or 5 meters high, and they are like 90-degree wall since centuries, and they stand there, and that's often the east side. And the west side, so if there is the Danube, the west side is often characterized by the gneiss soil, which is really poor. Where you have partly just some centimeters, half a meter or a meter of soil, of a very sandy soil. So this soil doesn't save water very well. It's like, of course, there is some humus, and of course it saves some, but it's very different to the loess soil. So these are somehow the basis of our soils which we have here, and then we have those microclimate levels, so to say. Yeah. So here in the flat, again, usually we start harvesting here because it's middle early. It's not the earliest vineyards we have, but they are quite early. And of course, we want to harvest them earlier because we, on the one hand side, we don't want to have a big wine here. We want to have the easy drinking wines more from here. Plus, sometimes or often in autumn, fog occurs here. And fog and this humidity, it doesn't make harvesting easier. So we try to harvest in the beginning always the flat areas. And then the hillsides, they are usually the hottest and warmest, especially if they are very south directed. So this is usually this is the hottest climate level. And here we are trying to focus a lot in terms of the concentrate to get these and its sweetest spot, so to say, not in terms of its sugar level, but to get it really on its perfect level, not to have it too high in sugar, not too low in acidity. And then there is, as a third, which is very typical for the Weißenkirchen area. We have a lot of, or quite a lot of, so to say, backland. So if you look at Kolmütz and Kolmitz, you see that they are a bit more in the front, narrower, more narrow. What is the superlative? I'm sorry.
Narrower, I don't know.
So it's,
Yeah, they're more in front. Yeah,
but closer
more to the...
yes, they are closer. And in the back of Kolmütz and Kolmitz, there is, especially behind of Kolmitz, there is a small going down and it's going up again. And there we are, especially at this Jochinger Berg, where we have some vineyards, and which are very important to us. This is really cool there. And there we usually harvest 3 or 4 weeks later than we harvest here in the flat, although it's still the same sugar level. Okay. So that's also for me very important. But this is during harvesting always very easy because there you can wait. You have wind there. Everything is easy there. I think Weißenkirchen always you have to also describe those vineyards in the back, which are not maybe that prominent, but they are very nice, and they are especially for our Federspiels, they are always the backbone of our in our winery.
And this is
that's Greif Grüner Veltliner Smaragd, which is not only, but there is a good portion is in these high vineyard. There are young wines, so it's maybe not yet for a single vineyard wine, but planted 2015 and 18.
Do you have to have a specific age for a reed or no?
No, you don't have to, but I think it's good to have it. Of course, every vineyard reacts, or a wine reacts different to drought if it's older or younger.
Okay.
And I think those older wines, they are more stable, and everything is easier in an old wine in the end.
Yeah.
Because they are stronger. And I think that's somehow necessary to give them at least, I don't know, 10, 15 years at least, I would say.
Okay.
To do really a single vineyard wine out of it, where you really can show afterwards the typicity of a vineyard.
Okay.
Where maybe the wine, where the single wines are not so much reacting to the heat or whatever. But it's a very viticultural.
That's fine. I mean, I'm just interested because there are some grapes that cannot live that long. You know, some are more susceptible to diseases and they just die younger. Like I hear in Steiermark. They say that they have a lot of issues because Sauvignon Blanc is very susceptible to ESCA. So it's difficult to wait for Sauvignon Blanc to reach old age. And my question is, do you have these issues with Riesling or Grüner, or one grape more than other, or no? Probably Neuburger is the difficult one.
Neuburger, really difficult. He's or she. Maybe somebody is able at certain point to live from Neuburger, but that's chapeau if you are able to. But yeah, Neuburger is a diva, but or he is a diva.
Yeah. What?
But Grüner and Riesling are, in the end, quite or very stable varieties, I would say. And the very good thing is that both can adjust to their underground. So Grüner Veltliner here in the flat looks different than a Grüner Veltliner on the terraces, and we also have to work a bit different. But Grüner can work with a very poor underground, or not a very, but a quite poor underground. And you see that there are usually much smaller bunches, much smaller grapes than we have here in the flat, where there is so much nutrition. And it adjusts by itself more or less. And Riesling, we don't have it in the flat, not really, because here it's a quite difficult spot for Riesling. But especially on the very dry terraces, Riesling can work with this very hot summers, especially in July, August. Wachau heats up a lot, and especially the terraces where you have some centimeters of soil. The wine itself, it has to adjust, and that's Riesling Riesling is managing very well.
I've seen those terraces. There is no it is just stones put together, and it somehow just holds together perfectly. Is that a knowledge that you know, or do you have to invite someone who kind of creates or fixes the terrace if something goes wrong? Or because that is impressive.
Thanks.
But you do not have any. I don't know the name of it in English, but leafbreakers. It has to between those stones. Just So
the usually we build it without any concrete or something. And that's it's a very nice handcraft. We do it on our own.
So that's something that you personally know how to do.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. And we have a team where we have who can also do that. And I really need to say, it's one of the most beautiful things in our winemaking life.
Okay.
Because it's really, usually you do it in winter. When there is, after harvesting, you start those projects again. You do it like a puzzle. You need to try to get some bigger stones, and then you put the smaller ones into it. And it's not very difficult. And
it looks very difficult.
Everybody can learn it. It's quite hard work, of course, but it's something which is really, really beautiful. If you build the wall and after some days you see a quite nice result already. And I think it's also important that you do it on your own, because in winter it's good to have to work for the team. That's somehow very well. And on the other hand, it's important to do it well, because of course sometimes we have a lot of rain, then the soil behind the terrace gets heavy, and then it can
break the wall.
Can break and slide down.
Okay, wow. Because I keep looking at these terraces and I'm amazed, because yes, it's just stones. It's nothing else.
Yeah, it works so well in Wachau, because we have the stones, which are usually, or in earlier days, they just took the stone which was there, and it's because our stones, they are quite porous. Porous. So you just take a hammer and you can break it quite easily, and that's also important, because then you can find the puzzle, the right puzzle.
Okay. So it also sounds like an art a little bit.
No, but it's really,
All right.
if you have done it once, I think everybody falls in love with building stone walls, dry stone walls. Yeah.
Oh. So if we move away from the vineyards and move to the winery, so how would you describe your winemaking philosophy?
I'm trying to get this Wachau typicity of a good ripeness, of a quite high ripeness of the grapes, but getting them lean into the bottle. So not having a too long time on the lees, not having a too long or stuck-in fermentation. I try to get the fermentations done, not quick, but at certain period, to try to get the quite intense grapes into the bottle without getting even intenser. So that's for sure a learning which I had within the last 6 years, because in the first years I thought, okay, you just put it in and then the longer it ferments, or if it ferments long, it's not bad. But honestly speaking, I saw, because of course it's trendy somehow to just leave it and it starts and then you have the malolactic fermentation and so on. Honestly speaking, for me, the wines don't get more elegant by that. And they are getting more structured, but they are getting, especially as we are harvesting quite late, and that's for me the handcraft basis which I want to go on with. I don't want to harvest very early, and because that's maybe you should aim for, having a very early harvest, and then you can leave it on the lees and it's maybe fermenting for half a year. That works, I would say, much better than to have those intense late harvested grapes and to have it that long in fermentation and on the lees. The aim is to have a precise, elegant wine, which is showing the ripeness of Wachau, which is showing the differences of the soils and the microclimates. And having a wine which is open, which is not like
tight
and of course it should not be lush, but so that's somehow the aim to
well, you're doing a very good job, because I was preparing for this interview and another interview I'm having later. I was reading through some books on Austrian wines and Wachau wines, and there was one author who said Smaragd should be aged and they're drink way too young, and that's like a crime, and you just go to the restaurant and all the young vintage is already done. And I said, this is because they're juicy, they're just so lovely when they're young. This is the reason, because if the wine is too tight and if you cannot drink it when it's young, you don't drink it. But if it is just so plump and open and inviting, you kind of enjoy it. It just happens. I
don't know, I love to drink wine with experts. I love it, of course, with sommeliers, and that's of course also one of the most beautiful parts in winemaking, that you have a lot of persons who have a different perspective, but who have often a much better sense than I have. But it's really cool to get their perspective. But in the end, these are always the experts, and our aim is also to have a wine which I can bring to, I don't know, to my uncle who has never drank a wine and who also would say, I like this wine. And that's something, I think that's something which Wachau is usually doing quite well. And maybe it's because also we have the tourism and we have a lot of wine tastings in the cellars. So you get a lot of, how is it called? The knowledge from the...
direct feedback from from the people.
Feedback, we don't know. But it's I think it's very good to, or some very good basis in Wachau, that we have a lot of feedback also from really regular customers who just pass by the bicycle and who maybe don't drink a lot of wine, and maybe if they look at our price list they are scared. But still, for me, the aim is that they just say, okay, the only problem I have, it's too expensive. Then everything is good. But yeah, I don't want to have a wine that is just for the experts. That, of course, now with the climate change, with these hot days and weeks we have, you have to be more keen on your vines and on your vineyards to get the phenolics managed, to get them wisely integrated, so to say.
How do you manage Grüner's phenolics?
It's a tough question, because that's something which is every year, every vintage a bit different.
Okay.
Sometimes you have the cool vintages or the classic vintages where you don't have to care about that. Mm-hmm. But especially in the hot years, which are of course not getting less.
Yeah.
We are, in my opinion, we have the big difficulties in getting a wine which is not overripe and also not too bold and too alcoholic. So you have to harvest a bit earlier. But if you harvest very early, sometimes there are a lot of phenolics and they are not ripe and the intensity is missing. And that's, you have to find a very sweet spot and you have to harvest quite quick. I think that's very important. And also during the year, during summer, leaving the leaf. So the leaves is a very important thing, not to put everything away, to have a lot of shadow on your grapes. I think that's very important. And also to try, it's not easy, but to try to get a bit of cooler microclimate into your vineyard by, of course, leaving a bit more of the flowers and the grass. But of course, that's again the difficulty if it's very dry.
Yeah, and you have issues.
Yeah, you have issues. But what is usually the case is that in spring we have good rain, so you can build up a bit of the green, a good green floor, and then you have to be keen on not having too much, especially on the very dry terraces, not putting it away too late.
Yeah,
and so that's very important, especially for the Grüners, to get also the phenols managed, because of course the stress leads to the phenolics, and in a cooler or a later vintage, you can in my opinion you just bring over the phenolics, you bring it, or you solve it by ripeness and by richness and intensity, because then maybe it's also good to have more phenolics. And then we are also a bit not only in the vineyard but also in the cellar side, and on the grapes processing side. As Grüners, if you have a cool vintage, you can do a much longer maceration time, I think. And it always then you get more phenolics, but you also get more intensity from the skin.
Yeah.
But in the very warm years, I think you need to. It's better to be a bit quicker and cleaner and straight.
Okay. So you don't use any oak in the winery?
We use for Grüners. In the end, every Grüner in our winery sees at some point
some oak.
Some oak. I try always to have around 1/4 to 1/3 to be fermented in oak, and also after the fermentation to have.
But it's not new.
It's not everything is new. Yeah.
Because there's a lot of purity in your wines, and I would not guess that there's like oak or like definitely not. It might be open, as sometimes you feel in wines that have seen oak, like a bit of openness. But there's a lot of purity, like focus of the fruit, which I.
It's that the new oak, of course, you have to be quite quick, not having it too long in the barrel. That's very important with the new oak. Yeah.
So, if there's something that I didn't ask and you would like to discuss still,
of course.
Okay.
No, it's of course, or it would be a pleasure also to highlight maybe also our Wachau specific wine segments, Steinfeder, Federspiel, and Smaragd.
The Vinea Wachau.
Vinea Wachau, it's the association of most of the winemakers. It's a very, very good and very a good structure, because we have in Vinea Wachau around 200 members, and there are a lot of very small wineries, a lot of them who are just selling grapes or producing the grapes, but there are also a lot of very internationally known wineries, and we are sharing and working together, and that's something which made Wachau strong within the last decades, and that's very powerful. And and what makes Vinea Wachau, of course, touchable are the three categories: Steinfeder, Federspiel, and Smaragd. You know, if you are in Wachau, I always love to tell the story about those, and that's the very nice thing, is you can feel the difference between a Steinfeder, Federspiel, and Smaragd easily, and that's something I think is very powerful in a world of so many different styles of wines, that you have some possibilities to find out the differences. And that's the good thing. You know when to work with or when to drink a Steinfeder, a Federspiel, or a Smaragd. So it's easy to get. It's not only about the alcohol, of course. There are the borders.
Yeah. Up
to 11.5 is the Steinfeder, up to 12.5 is the Federspiel, and everything above is Smaragd wine. And those three categories, they are also based on its ripeness of the grape. And you have, if you take a Grüner Veltliner, as a Steinfeder, you usually have more those apple things, very, sometimes a loud, also some green, very fresh and vivid, and a good acidity. But of course, maybe not a big body.
Yeah.
But and the Federspiel, which is always good usually because it's easy to access, has some certain body already, and then you have the Smaragd. Of course, it's later harvested, and the characteristics of the wine can change quite a lot. So if you have a Smaragd which is harvested later, the Grüners, they are not so much anymore at the green apple thing. They're coming more to the very spicy and somehow tobacco part, and in warm years sometimes also some tropical thing in the back. It's a very nice definition of the ripeness of the grape, and the very nice thing is with those, they are open for everybody who is just winemaking in Wachau. That's the big rule of Vinea Wachau. It's prohibited to us to have any vineyard outside the Wachau, and it's prohibited to import any wine from outside the Wachau, and that made Wachau so strong within the last decades. And I think that Vinea preserved a lot of this very small structured Wachau Valley. Yeah. There's a lot of small wineries who maybe don't have the possibilities to do a lot of marketing, but who also participate
in the part
in the marketing which we did together.
Yeah.
And in the end, it's always so good to have something where you work together. And with these three categories, they are very objective. That's the very good thing.
Yeah.
There is no political thing in the back. There is no power, so you don't have to be a very powerful or a very small winery. You can use it and you can feel it as a customer.
But I do have a question regarding this. So now that Wachau is part of, it's DAC, so it has its own, how do you say, Districtus Austria Controlat?
Yes, something like that.
Okay, something like that. So, and I've seen that some of the wineries are exiting or at least not using the Steinfeder, Federspiel and Smaragd. So how do you look at this? Is it something that we just want to be, outsiders and play, the maverick role, or why is that? Because it used to work for everyone, and now all of a sudden we want to be.
It's a great pity. It's in the end, it's a great pity that we don't work, or that there are so many spots and spotlights on the differences now.
Yeah.
And that's a pity. At least there were a lot of there are some wineries who didn't drop off the Vinea Wachau, but who don't use the Smaragd or Federspiel that much because they say, I don't want to put it on the label. I think that's a very good strategy in the end, and it would be maybe also helpful.
Yeah.
But it's the thing is that I think Steinfeder Federspiel Smaragd doesn't hurt anybody. I'm sure it's not easy sometimes to get the Steinfeder or the Federspiel, as sometimes the sugar levels are rising up that quick.
Yeah.
And of course, but as a customer, you always have the knowledge that I have an easy drinking wine.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's a very powerful thing in times like this, that you have some idea of how the wine is. And yeah.
Okay, so now we are going to towards the end of our interview, and there are a few questions that I want to ask. This is the one question that I ask to every single one of my guests, and it is, what is the one wine myth you would like to debunk?
For me, one of the most important thing is for the customers, and of course that's easy now to see from my perspective, try to get in contact with winemakers, because I think there are a lot of big brands, and those big brands, they are known everywhere and so on, but there are a lot of very small winemakers in every region who do sometimes a better job than the very known wineries. And also, of course, those wineries are very important for the regions and for the winemaking industry and for the whole branch, but there is often so much behind the scenes of very small wineries, and I think here there is a point where it really starts making fun in finding wine. So is it a myth? No. So I need to search for another myth.
Take the road less traveled, I guess. Kind of discover more.
Yeah, I think that's and wine regions are usually very beautiful. So I think there is no wine region which is not beautiful. Maybe there are some more interesting, but at least people are nice there.
Yeah, that's true. And then we have now introduced a new section where the previous guest, not knowing who is the next guest, asks a question about wine or makes a statement. So the previous guest was Jonathan Pabillot. So he's a winemaker and owner of a winery in Puy-Fumé, so across the river of Sancerre, and he makes absolutely beautiful Sauvignon Blanc. And I guess he was looking for some tips and tricks, because this is what he said. What is your plan to tackle the climate change? And he said, I want specifically know everything you will do in the vineyard and the winery.
Everything.
He said, just step by step.
Okay. So, of course, we have some projects going on. Of building a big wall. No, sorry, that was the guy from the other side.
Yes.
We just keep climate change out of the well.
Yeah, by the wall. Yes.
No, so what we are doing very much, I think, and where we changed within the last decades, when I was in my first years, when I was, 15, when I had my first contact in the vineyard, where we tried to get more ripeness. And it was always the aim, getting some sunshine, getting under grapes, to get the beautiful ripeness, to having a big wall of leaves along.
Canopy,
very high rows. And this is changing a lot, or I not a lot, but step by step we are changing that, having more shadow, trying to preserve the coolness in the vineyard and on the grape. And so also where we plant new vineyards, I'm going up with we're going higher with the
fruiting zone.
Yes. So that's I think a very good thing.
Do you think it also works against frost?
Yes, of course. And your back doesn't hurt anymore so much.
So you're thinking about yourself.
So yeah, of course you have to care about the team. And then there is also putting those leaf walls not too high anymore. But yeah, on the other hand, it's a beauty if you have like, I don't know, 2 meters of 50 very high wall, and then there are just some small berries, and they are very tasty, of course. But yeah, that's I think a very powerful tool, so to say. Also putting the rows a bit more together.
Okay, so higher density.
A bit, but not too much, because what I think is also not working that well to put it like 1 meter, like we have it on the terraces. That's not like a game changer. I think that's more changing if it just higher the wine. Everything. What's to know everything? Yeah. Then as I described, we're trying to see the
cover crop.
The cover. Yeah. No. In between the rows, we try to have a lot of flowers and to get the leguminous.
Yeah, like yeah. I think they log the nitrogen in.
Yeah. So we try to build that up in spring and to work with the soil. Unfortunately, also, I ask myself and ask often myself about the very low intervention winemaking. I don't see it so much here, not yet, or not for our style of wines. Maybe that works much better with the phenol-based wines, also red wines. Maybe that's easier, but here in Wachau, yeah, we're trying to do as little as possible. But I think in spring to work once with the soil and to get also some of this leguminoses up is a very powerful tool. But because then you can usually 2 months after you have seeded, after you have planted them, you can just roll it down, and then I think it gets cooler in the vineyard again. Okay. And of course, it's good for the humus, for the nutrition. So what is more, climate change? Of course,
do you do anything different or do you plan to do anything different in the winery? You said like you don't do mallow to kind of retain the freshness.
In the winery, in the cellar.
Yeah.
I'm not having a too warm fermentation.
What is too warm?
Yeah, 22 plus.
Okay.
So that's something which I learned also. It's very nice to have it that warm because it's very quick. But having some fruitiness to stay, especially if you harvest early, I think it's good to be at around 19 or something. That's, Yeah. Who knows whether the temperature controls always says the right temperature.
Okay.
I think working clean but not too clean, I think is having a bit of a cloudy juice is important. So that the fermentation is not stucking.
Yeah.
That's important, so that you don't have the mallow. But especially is a problem for Grüner. Yeah. It's maybe for Riesling it's another topic. If you have a malolactic fermentation there, it's not that problematic. But the Grüners, it's often you feel it. Maybe not in the first round, but some years after, or sometimes it occurs again that you feel it or you get it, and that's something which I try to around. But of course, it's not easy, especially if you have the fermentation in the oak. But we will let you off the hook. Okay. Yeah.
I understand that Jonathan was really looking for. Yeah. But before we end, the very last question. So maybe you have a question or a statement to our next guest.
Oh, to the next guest.
Yes. You can just make a statement.
A statement. Yeah, that's something. A statement which maybe is also good for the myth.
Okay.
100 points wines are not good for everybody's taste.
Discuss. 100-point wines are not good for everybody. Discuss.
Yeah, those points which are there around, they are very good and very cool, and they are. It's always very amazing to look at those sayings.
Those perfect wines.
Yeah, but in the end, everybody don't think that you have to like 100 points wine. That's something which I sometimes find that people say, okay, but is this now the 97 points wine or the 98, whatever? Then I say, I don't know, just try it. Do you like it? Don't you like it? What do you like? What do you missing? What do you are maybe is too much? Whatever.
I agree. It would be very interesting. So we do have small gifts to you. Everyone on my channel gets this. So this is No Sediment.
Thank you very, very much.
And the next time you're on the vineyards and maybe the sun is too intense from the climate change, you can hide under it. Okay, it fits. Perfect.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.